back to another Rockford CCG Attack Package Series video. Today is the last video in the series using Flash. It was a really good exercise to do this and to kind of give back some knowledge that I've gained over playing the game. Hopefully some newer players take these videos and use them, and maybe we'll see some of these decks at Worlds or in the future. So today we're going to be going over Flash. Flash means it skips the entire enhanced step. So on play, after you make your control check, we play near responses on play. So you go and your opponent goes. And then after all responses are passed, you go straight to the block step. One thing that Flash really lacked prior to Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers was attack numbers. Not like the quantity, but the actual attack, the damage and speed values. Sometimes they were a little lackluster, but with Lord Raptor's support, they really got a shot in the arm for this. So we're going to go over his support first, and then we're going to move down the list. As you notice, you will notice that the numbers get smaller and smaller as we go down. Even all the way down to like Wolfsbane, Concussion Blast, and Kneecapper, they aren't the greatest of speed and damage, but they are still serviceable because they still see play even today. For Lord Raptor support, we got Hurricane of Death. Basically, this is their finisher card. Using Healed by Shaman, I was killed at the Chicago PTC with 4 of these in a row. Sometimes you just can't block an 8 low for 6 that deals extra damage. Moving on, we have Leg Shredder. If you're able to remove these from your discard pile or from your card pool, then you can ready your Foundation. Also, it has an it has kind of like a stun because you play it and your opponent commits 1 Foundation for each copy of Leg Shredder in your card pool. So that also works on blocks. So you can block with it and then R respond. Use the R and have your opponent commit a Foundation. Stinging Skull, this is basically Flash's Urban Shower in a way, because if it deals damage, they're going to end up losing 2. So the worst case scenario is to partial block this, because then you have to commit something and you'll end up losing 2 more damage, plus the partial block damage, whatever it's going to be, because you can still pump damage with some Rs. So yeah, so you kind of always want to just full block this, or just or you kind of don't ever want to eat this whole thing. You kind of just want to completely block it if you can. Sweet Chainsaw Music. This gives the 6-hand Flash characters a way to kind of cheat their hand size. So even used on block, you could use this ability because you can RX card pool. At the end phase, it doesn't say your end phase, it says the end phase begins. You can pick up a bunch of Flash attacks for as much momentum you've discarded, or removed, excuse me. So you're able to fill your hand up with some attacks before you go into your draw step for the next turn. Shadowblade Shuriken. This really is pretty good in just pretty much Shadow Man. If you're able to play cards that can pitch it from the card pool, there's the Proto Man card, the F, the 3/5 that pitches a card, discard a card from your card pool, you're able to draw a card. But with Shadow Man, it really shines because you're able to do it during the combat. You're able to do it while you're attacking instead of having to play a form. And then also gives extra damage. Now we're getting into some Street Fighter cards. Bloody High Claw. For its numbers, it's kind of a 5 high for 8 that deals damage and makes your opponent burn if it's blocked, and then it also makes and if it deals less than printed damage, your opponent takes 3 and destroys a Foundation. So you don't play. So another one of those Flash attacks where you don't want to partial block it because then you just feel real bad. Azuna drops next. This card's actually really, really good in Flash decks. If you're at Desperation, which Lord Raptor and a couple of characters are really easy to get to, Vega even, if I forgot to put him on the list, goes to Desperation, you get 2 extra damage. So if you're able to pump damage on this thing, it's actually really nice because then if they block it, it deals, then you discard their entire momentum. Next up is Bear's Bite. This is a pretty decent card. It's a 3 low 3. Gives your next Flash attack 2 damage. So if you start chaining these at the end of a string or at the beginning of a string, your attacks just get kind of massive. It does have a nice 0 mid block, so it does help you shore up some numbers there. Next is Miska Silverfang Salvo. I don't know how much play this would actually see nowadays because Hurricane of Death is immensely better. But this is a neat like one of in Shadowman, because neat one or two of, or even in Miska. Just as you're able to get so much momentum. If you're able to get a lot of momentum, you're able to just dump a huge multiple out. Issue is that you kind of have to tailor your deck around this because Flash doesn't have a lot of inherent ways to get momentum outside support. Next is Wolfsbane. 1 low 5. It can ready an asset or foundation that has not been readied this combat phase. So if you have like multiple healed by shamans or Spirit of the Wolves, stuff like that, you're able to reuse them again during your turn. Concussion Blast, another 2-check, but if it's blocked, you discard it from the card pool after it resolves, so you're able to clear card pool and just keep swinging. It is a 4 high for 8, and some of the characters who can pump damage, it's going to be a 4 high 10 plus, so your opponent will probably usually block this card. Kneecapper, in the same vein as Concussion Blast, it's a 3 low 4. It also discards after. It also discards from the card pool after it resolves if blocked. It has a really bad block on it, but it's still seen play today because it is a 3 diff, and with characters who can pump speed or damage on it, it's actually a really good value attack. Moving on to Foundations, Reload Raptor support really enhanced and gave Flash the stuff it needs for this. So it feels good to be bad. You can flip it to ready a Death Foundation, which healed by Shaman. If you have to like ready an unpredictable movement, if you have some defense enhances, so you can play that. Remove 1 flash attack from your discard pile. This attack gets -2 speed, playable while committed. So you can use that to give your opponent's attack -2 speed. If you remove a Leg Shredder, you can ready a card. So really you're gaining -3 speed in a way, because you're going to be able to commit. If you need to pass a check, you can commit 1 to help you pass it, which is a really weird way to think about it. Healed by Shaman. This card is insane. Like I said earlier, I played against Nick Birch at the Chicago PTC. He resolved 4 of these to kill me using this lure, and you R-commit, discard your hand. After attack is played, you add 1 flash attack. So if you can just discard your hand and chain 1 attack, just attacks over and over again, because you can discard your hand if you have no hand. Showtime. It cancels non-keyword abilities on an attack once per turn. So it's really good to see that you're able to remove flash attacks to chain with like Leg Shredder or other cards, and then it also gives you +3 damage after you play an attack. It gets 3 speed as well if your opponent's in deadlock, which deadlock is kind of few and far between on Death Foundation, and Death stuff. So it's actually really good to see that they get some deadlock support. Thrill to Eat You, first F. It's a free committal. You commit 1 for 1, and then your next flash or weapon attack this turn gets +2 speed. So that's actually really good for helping you push through attacks. It's just that sometimes the 1 for 1 trade isn't really worth it early game, but actually it's probably more worth it early game than it is late game, just because your opponent's going to have more foundations later on. One way to help you get more attacks into your hand is 88 miles per hour. So if you're playing if you're playing Raptor, Shadow Man, Miska, Quickman, Vega even, you want more attacks, you have to destroy this, and you discard top 5 cards, and you can get a flash attack if you discarded 1. Some extra damage pump after you play an attack. Mind Trigger, it's a really good spam. Block isn't that great, but you're going to play this anyways because you're going to want to net extra damage onto your flash attacks. And Spirit of the Wolf, R-commit after your flash attack resolved, your opponent commits 2 foundations, so it's actually like a free, it's a 1 for 2 trade. And then if you have like a Wolfsbane or a Leg Shredder, you're able to just ready it and then use it again on your next attack. So moving on to the characters, we got Lord Raptor. So he has a fun static of your flash attacks Your cards with flash gain Breaker 2, so all your flash attacks have a Breaker 2 block on them, so it's really good. You want to make sure your blocks are good on your attacks so you can use that. Shadow Man, oh, also, sorry, going back. He can also destroy a committed foundation. After your flash attack is played, your opponent destroys one committed foundation, and then you can remove 2 cards from your discard pile to after you play an attack to get +2 speed or +2 damage. That also says an attack, so it does not need to be a flash attack. So you can mix in some non-flash attacks into your deck while playing Lord Raptor. Shadow Man, he clears his pool and he's able to generate his own momentum. Also, you discard momentum to have your opponent destroy a foundation. If it's 1 or less, you get 3 damage. His biggest problem is that he's a 6-hand size character. Miska, first F, reveal an ally card, your opponent discards card, and then she has a 5+ that she can ready. She can either commit one of your opponent's foundations or ready one foundation that has not been readied this combat phase. Her biggest issue is that she has 25 health for no apparent reason, and then she also her first F is really reliant on the ally keyword, so you're looking at a lot of her attacks, and if I remember correctly, none of Raptor's cards have ally. Yeah, none of them have ally, so you're kind of hosed there, because she wants to play flash attacks that have ally on them, and all she has is Bear's Bite and Wolfsbane. I believe she has another one that has a no block, but it's not very good, so I wouldn't even consider it in building a deck. Unfortunately, hopefully we get more ally flash attacks. Or we get a new Miska, which would be better, in my opinion. 7-hand size Miska, please. That'd be great. We got Quickman. He's about to rotate, but he has some really neat foundation control. In his first F, destroy a foundation. For the rest of this turn, your flash attacks gets +2 speed, which is great because it's hard for your opponent to interact with flash attacks. And then whenever your flash attack with print difficulty of 4 or more deals damage, your opponent adds 1 foundation to their hand. So really, he got a huge bump from the Lord Raptor suite, because other than Leg Shredder, which you'd play anyways because that card's ridiculous, they're all 4 diff or higher. So you just play those all. You play all his suite, maybe play... he has a couple attacks that are 5 and 4, so you probably play those. And also he has a really good defensive ability. He commits to give an attack flash. So I think his biggest downside is that he's also a 6-hand size character, and that he has to destroy his foundations to do his first F. But in this day and age where Deadlock is a thing, it's not that. When Deadlock can be a thing with like the good symbol and some of the crazy shenanigans that fire and earth and water can do, it's pretty good to be able to do that to slow your opponent down. So guys, this is the last video in the series, like I said earlier. Let me know what you thought of it. If you want to see more, let me know. If you don't, let me know too. Hope to see more people out there playing some different types of attack packages. And that's pretty much it. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good night.